pretty gray outside today, which is a perfect writing day in my opinion. I just spent the whole morning working on the beta reader feedback form for Between the Waves. I have a video going up about it tomorrow. I kind of filmed like how I put it together. It's a very, I don't know, I feel like kind of just like chatty, informal video while I go through the process with you. So that video is already up. Feel free to check it out if you haven't, but I also wanted to mention, because this vlog will be going up on Friday, that this weekend, so starting tomorrow for you, is when I'm going to be going through the beta reader applications and picking 3 to 5 people. So if you are interested in being a beta reader for Between the Waves, in all of its chaotic, messy glory at this point in the process, I will be starting to go through those applications tomorrow. Yeah, today is probably the ideal last day to apply. So if you're interested, I'll leave it linked down below. It's also in the community tab on my channel. So yeah, I've spent all day working on that so far. It was also making me think that like, because I'm editing the video right now, and I just wish that like this was my full-time job. Like I just wish that I got to make little internet videos for you and write my books, and like, I don't know, I've just been feeling that more and more lately because I just think about how much more energy I would have to put towards it. But yeah, we'll get there. We're getting there. We're taking the steps. I'm gonna have a yerba mate, which is an energy drink, because I am getting tired, but I need to jump into editing because if this is going to go for beta reader feedback next week, it needs to be done, and we're getting there and we're still feeling good, but I need to get back in and I need to hustle. This week is 100% for hustling. So I finished the Kingdom of the Wicked series and I am now reading We Hunt the Flame. I started reading We Hunt the Flame before going to Holland, and then I left the book here, so I didn't get to keep going, but I only got a few chapters in, so I'm just gonna start from the beginning again. So I'm gonna read that in between my writing sprints and my freelance sprints. But yeah, I think we're gonna get cozy. It's rainy. I'm gonna light some candles. We're gonna make it a vibe, and we're gonna get some good writing done. Actually spent a lot of the day prepping content, which is okay. The beta reader form is ready to go. I've already posted it to Patreon early. The video that's accompanying the like launch of the beta reader form is edited and set to go up tomorrow, so that's done. I've also just gone through and I edited another 3 chapters. I think another 3 chapters. I just finished editing chapter 14, and then I spent some time just like actually moving over pretty much up until chapter 24, I think. So maybe the next 10 chapters, but there's a bunch of those that are gonna be new scenes, or like scenes that need to mostly fill in the fun and games, because the midpoint has shifted. The scene that is the midpoint now used to be sooner in Act 2. So because that's the midpoint now, I need a couple scenes that I had already been brainstorming around, and I pretty much know what I want them to be, but I need to get those in there. So I think it's 3 scenes. 2 of which I already have like setting, conversations, kind of just needs to be like vomited onto the page now. 1 of which I'm still playing around with like what the actual setup is going to be, so I haven't made any decisions on it yet. And then I moved over a few scenes past the midpoint. The problem with those ones, which I noticed as I was moving them over, is that a bunch of them are just super bloated. Like knowing what happens in the scenes and the purpose that they serve, there's so much written into them, so I have a feeling that I'm gonna jump in there and just like chop them down like crazy. So before I do that, I need a break. I need to get some food. I am considering taking a nap, but I'm really on a roll with this. As you can imagine, I haven't done as much freelance work today, but I also don't have as much to do right now, which is good for writing, but not good for financials, so that's fine. We'll be okay. If you feel like joining my Patreon and supporting me over there, now's the time. So yeah, I'm gonna take a bit of a break and then I'm gonna jump back in, and I think tonight I might jump onto Brielle's channel. It looks like she's doing some writing sprints at about 7:30 my time. I'll leave her linked down below if you're not familiar with her yet. She does wonderful videos. So I think I might take advantage of that live stream and jump back in later. But yeah, first, food. Having a dinner break and kind of just like jumping back and forth into writing. I've written about 800 words of a new scene that needed to be added to, like I said, connect the beginning of Act 2 to the new midpoint that has been shifted. There's a bunch of space there that needs to be filled, and I have so many plot lines and plot holes to fill in order to get that space used up. But something that I've started doing, I actually came across a video where someone was suggesting that a strategy that they use sometimes to keep working on their scenes is to basically write the dialogue first and only write the dialogue. So you basically have a scene that's probably going to be like 100 to 200 words, not much, and it's dialogue only, and it's basically just what the characters are saying, and then you can fill out the rest of the scene later. So I've actually started to do this because for me lately, it never used to be like this, but lately the thing that keeps coming to me is dialogue and conversations between characters, and I think it's because I know that I have plot holes that need to be filled. So I'm like constantly brainstorming about how to fill them, and every once in a while a conversation will pop into my head. So yeah, I'm on chapter 15. I'm like halfway done. The second half of the chapter, I'm now writing dialogue only, and then I'll fill it in from there because I know that I want this scene to be more interesting as far as like the setting goes. I'm just trying to figure out how to do that because we're on a pirate ship. It doesn't vary too much, but I have changed the weather, so it's something. But yeah, so I actually think that the next few scenes I'm gonna do dialogue only and then do setting after, or like fill in the rest after. So I'm gonna make the dialogue like the skeleton of the scene and then go from there. Good morning. It is a day for this size of coffee. I am very tired. I'm slightly emotional, but like in a good way, because this morning I put up the video on my channel talking about how I put together my new beta reader form, and it's 7:30 now, but I checked around 6:45 and 6 people had already signed up or had already applied to potentially beta read for me. That made me very happy, which then made me emotional because I just don't know. I'm just like endlessly grateful that I have a community that is like so willing to help and like help make this dream come to life for me. So yeah, I'm gonna check now and see what the responses are like. But I'm very happy and I have my coffee, and I'm sure there will be naps today, but there will also be a lot of writing. I also put together a little tracker. Yesterday I wrote, I think I showed it on camera, I wrote about 1,500 new words, I want to say. It was 2 separate scenes, one of which was 722 words and the other was 775 words. Yeah, so let's say like 1,500 words or so yesterday. Brand new words. I also went through and added up to chapters 30, so another 15 or so chapters into Scrivener, and I made note of which ones are going to be new scenes and which ones are going to be edits. This is similar to what I did on Skrintle, but I was just throwing this together yesterday and I kind of feel like coloring it in, so I so far have colored in half of chapter 15. I should also color in half of chapter 16. So yeah, chapter 15 and chapter 16 are probably more than halfway done, but those are two brand new scenes. And then chapter 17 and 18 are also going to be new scenes, and I've already written out for each of those scenes what the purpose of the scene needs to be, like the kind of threads that I need to touch on and the subplots that I need to make sure are like the focus of the scene. Chapter 18, before getting to or around the midpoint. Now that I'm looking at it, I might not need chapter 17, because although chapter 19 is where the midpoint happens, it's a 5,000 word chapter, because there's a couple scenes before the actual midpoint, so one of those chapters might get scrapped, which is okay because it means less for me to write. But yeah, so today I'm hoping to finish chapter 15 and 16 fully, so that those are completely done, and then I'm also hoping to finish chapter 17 and 18, or just 18 depending on if I remove that other one, which will get me to the midpoint, and it will get me to a stretch of about 7 chapters that are already written, but I need to edit them, and I have a feeling at least one of those chapters is going to be fully removed. Multiple scenes will probably be removed because this is the section that it feels like it gets a bit bloated for me. So yeah, the goal is to get into that stretch of just editing, because I know I can power through that. Hopefully get through as much of that as I possibly can today. Okay, so I'm gonna check the form. Hold on, more coffee before I open this form. And the frustrating thing as well is that multiple people have already applied that like I recognize, like I mentioned, and people who have mentioned having like ongoing beta reading relationships with me, and like they've mentioned the books they read, and they're books that I would love to write certain aspects as well as like romances and stuff of those books. So this is why making it such a short turnaround time is the best idea for me, because I'm gonna want to pick everyone and I cannot do that. Okay, we only have 9. This is okay. This is manageable. I just took a bit of a break. I had a green smoothie. I am obviously keeping track. I've started to keep track of like the sprints that I've done today, just to like have a note and kind of encourage myself. I was actually going to, I don't know, like I considered jumping into some of the chapters that need to be edited today to start, just to kind of like get the momentum going. But then I started reading, or I started like reviewing what I did yesterday, and I actually jumped into chapter 17 and started writing it. And we're currently at about 1,400 words. So all of the words that I've added so far, it's been 1,458 words. They're all for chapter 17. I'm almost done this chapter, or at least this scene. I feel like that's something I should mention, is that right now the chapters, there's going to be a lot of chapters only because there's pretty much one scene per chapter. So chapters and scenes are kind of interchangeable at this point in my process. But later on, things will be combined, so there aren't as many chapters, and there might be multiple scenes in each chapter. But that's why we're like at about 1,500 words, and it's nearly done a whole chapter because it's pretty much just a scene at this point. I actually have to leave soon to go to my friend's graduation, but I'm gonna try and get another half hour at least of writing. I'm thinking I should be able to hit 1,000 words. Well, that depends. Like, I'll definitely be able to do another few hundred easily because I have to finish off this chapter. Actually, and now that I'm looking at it, I have chapter 18 planned. So I should be able to write chapter 18 as well. That's where we're at. I'm gonna keep writing. Okay, it's Thursday night and I want this vlog to go up tomorrow, so thought I would do a check-in and then I would close it off, and then I'll probably vlog over the weekend, but I imagine it'll kind of just be like a collection of check-ins because I am planning to do a lot of writing this weekend, especially if I am planning on sending this draft to beta readers on Monday. Stuff's happening, but I have to admit my self-imposed deadline, I don't know. It's funny because when I was younger, I would try to like put deadlines on myself like this, and I really struggled to actually stick to them. I kind of was only able to stick to them if it was like from school or another deadline, like an external deadline. It was a lot easier to stick to because I felt like I was letting people down if I didn't. But I'm telling you, the first half of this year has been just like full of a lot of mindset shifts, including the fact that I am just feeling so much more able and excited to like dedicate myself to the writing. And I think that a lot of integrity has come with that. Hopefully, fingers crossed. There's still a chance that I'm going to delay sending to beta readers by like 2 days or so, but I'm not going to go past Wednesday just because it needs to go out next week, because I also want to respect the time of the beta readers that I'm picking. But I'm also thinking that it's going to be shorter than anticipated. Like if it hits 70 words, it's not going to be much more than 70. I actually think it'll be between 60 and 70 rather than 70 and 80k, which is what I put on the form. But genuinely, like I said, the first half of this year, just like I did a lot of reflecting and kind of like digging a bit deeper and trying to figure out what the heck I was doing and what I wanted, and kind of just getting real with myself and telling myself that no one's going to make this happen if I don't do it. There is, especially when you're choosing to self-publish, there's no one who's going to do it for you. Like it has to be all you. And I care about these stories. I want it to be a bigger part of my life. And I think because of those little mindset shifts, they've all kind of like compounded, and it's brought me to this place where like I'm treating the deadline of sending this to beta readers next week as like an official deadline. I'm like reaching out to cover artists and getting some like feedback on how I can kind of start to go about that process. I'm making plans for publishing, and I'm making plans for like proofreading, and it just all feels a lot more real. And I'm excited, and I am like, it's funny because the thoughts always come when you're like, oh, well, maybe it's not good enough to publish. Maybe I just won't publish it. Maybe I'm not ready. I'll give it a couple more years of working on it and then I'll publish it. But I think I just like, at the end of the day, like I just have to learn what is ready to publish, and in order to learn that, I need to actually publish something. I think it's just really tough to get past the barrier of accepting that the first thing you publish is probably going to be the worst thing. I feel like there are a lot of things that I kind of keep in mind that keep me grounded throughout this journey, one of which is what I've said before multiple times, is the idea that if you never stop writing, then you've never technically failed. I love that. It's just like just enough mix of determination and grit and delusion that it just keeps me going. But I also like to remind myself that the first thing I publish is going to be the worst thing as far as craft goes, as far as story goes, and that doesn't mean I shouldn't publish it. I need to publish my first story. I need to publish my first book in order to kind of like unlock the next level and be able to publish something better and be able to grow and learn and become a better writer and a better storyteller. And that's what happens with drafts. Like you just accept that the first draft is going to be the worst and it's only going to be better from there. But I think publishing just feels different because other people are now going to be seeing it, and other people are going to be witnessing your art in its worst or freshest and most inexperienced form, and that's really scary. I just keep reminding myself that I want to start publishing, I want to start sharing my stories, and once I start, as long as I keep doing that, as long as I keep publishing, I keep sharing my stories, I keep learning, it's only going to get better. The only way that this will get worse, the only way that this process is going to get worse is if I decide to quit. So anyways, that's your little pep talk from Kayla on a Thursday night. I've got the weekend and then Monday, and I have pretty much set it aside to finish this draft and get it to my beta readers and pick my beta readers, which I'm so excited, although I'm slightly anxious because there are now, last time I checked, 46 people had filled out the form. So I just like want to send it to everyone, and I know I can't do that. So I hope you needed the spontaneous pep talk. If that's what you were needing, I hope that you got that. Thank you as always for being on this journey with me, and thank you for being here and watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. That felt like a weird wave. Okay, bye.